All right, good morning, everybody. It is Sunday, September 13th, and today we read through Siach Sarfei Kodesh, the Breslov Sefer on history of Breslov and stories about Rebbe Nachman and all the different Chassidim, and all passed down through generations and everything like that. And today we are still in the middle of Chelik Beis. We had already like 10 or 11 videos on this, so you can go watch it from the beginning. We are up to Siman Reish Mem Tes. So let's just continue reading over here. Stories about Rabbeinu Zal, all these things. So it says over here, at one time, when Avram Pius was in Tulchin, he was close to the Rebbe. He was in the house of the Rav Tzaddik Rab Baruch Mezhebush, who was the uncle of Rebbe Nachman. And Rab Baruch's wife asked him, Ma Shalom ben Achisenu Flumenik. How is the son of our sister, who was Fega, right? Because Rab Baruch's sister was Fega, Rebbe Nachman's mother. So the wife of Rab Baruch Mezhebush was asking this guy, Rav Avram Pius, how is he doing, the son of our sister, which she meant to, what she was talking about, Rebbe Nachman. And Avram Pius said to her that Rabbeinu was saying Torahs that were never heard in this world before. And she went and she told this to her husband, Rab Baruch Mezhebush, and Rab Baruch Mezhebush said, if a tzaddik is not able to say Torah, he's not a tzaddik. He said that the Maggid of Mezrich didn't know the secret of Itergad. He didn't know the secret, the deeper mystical reasoning of people that were left-handed. And he still wasn't a Maggid? Of course he was. So he was saying to her basically, he's like, there are tzaddikim that say Torah, and there are tzaddikim that don't say Torah. But it's not such a big chiddush, kilo. I think that's what he was trying to say. And afterwards, when Rav Avram Pius came back to Rabbeinu and he told him what he said, so Rebbe Nachman said, Im Kain, he said, if so, then I hope that they give me the side of Itriyat. I hope that Hashem blesses me, whatever Shemayim gives me the answer of what the secret of Itriyat is, the secret of lefties. And he said afterwards, he said the Torah Samach Vav in Likutei Imran, in the first part, Torah 66, and there it talks about the side of Itriyat Ayin Sham. One time Rebbe Nachman was going with Rav Nosson on the way, and these wild dogs came to start attacking them. And Rabbeinu turned to them and he said to the dogs, Ani yodea, miatem. I know who you are. And then they all ran away, the dogs. And one time afterwards, when Rav Nosson was going on the way again, after Rebbe Nachman died, again the same dogs came back, and Rav Nosson said to them, I came here with Rabbeinu, and he said to you, I know who you are, and you guys ran away, and I'm saying to you now, Ein yodea, I don't know anything, like you saying, because he didn't know what Rebbe Nachman was talking about, but he said, I don't know, and they also ran away. And the Chassidim say that Rav Nosson wanted to show to the other Chassidim that were going with him that through his battles to the tzaddik, that being bittul to the tzaddik, you're also able to do things without knowing what they know. That Rabbi Nachman knew what he was saying when he said these things to the dogs, and Rav Nosson did not know, but Rav Nosson was bittul to Rabbeinu Zal, so it still worked. Rabbi Nachman said to his Hasidim, before he got married the second time, before his second wedding, that there shouldn't be anybody on his wedding except for a minion of the Hasidim. And for the Chasna, so a minion of the Hasidim came, and together with Rabbi Nachman, it was 11 people, right? Because they brought with them a minion. They thought that Rabbi Nachman wanted them to bring a minion without Rabbi Nachman. But Rabbeinu said, but Rabbi Nachman was not masking to this, and he commanded to Rabbi Yaakov, the Baal Magia, who was one of the Chassidim, that he should go outside And this was a major pigia in his kavod of Rabbi Yaakov. It was a major blow to his kavod that Rabbi Nachman did not let him stay inside by the chuppah. Afterwards, Rabbi Nachman called him. He says, on the day of a chuppah, they forgive all of a person's sins, and I didn't have any sin that they should forgive me. So therefore I commanded you to leave. And why dafka you? You know yourself. So there was something going on deeper that Rabbi Nachman commanded him specifically to leave by the chuppah. Something had to do with sins. Maybe he also didn't have any sins. Maybe that's why Rabbi Nachman told him to go out. Or maybe he did have sins. I don't know. So it's interesting, Maisa. Rabbi Nachman said on the Rav HaKadosh, Rav Hershlev Malik, even if somebody was a Yareh and Chorid double than what he was, they still would not come to his Madrega. The only way to come to his Madrega, Mishum Shu Chacham, because he's a Chacham. Kolaimar, anything Shkoma Sheviu L'Madregosai, the only way that he came to his Madrega, this guy Rav Hershlev Malik, was through his smartness and his great wisdom in serving Hashem. They used to call him the Chacham Hador. That's what the Tzadikei and the Gedol Hador used to call him. They used to call this guy Rav Hershlev Malik the Chacham Hador. Another story about Rav Hershlev, that when Rabbeinu came to visit him on the way back from Eretz Yisrael, that's talked about in the Chaim Moran. It talks about there that they were speaking about different angels they saw, different things. Maybe they talk about it over here. That Rabbeinu said to his Chassidim that he asked from Hashem before he came into the city of Alik, where Rav Hershlev lived, that Hashem should help him to know how to deal with him, because he's a Chacham. So there's a special way to deal with him. Verse Erza Kluger. I guess a Kluger is a Chacham. If I remember correctly, in Chaim Ran, they were talking about how the angel Metat looked like. Rabbi Nachman and him had a big machlokes on which angels they were seeing and what they looked like, and Rabbi Nachman was basically saying, "No, you're not seeing it right." Yeah. After Rabbeinu was with him, with this guy Rav Hershlev of Malik, the Rav HaKadosh Rav Hershlev said to the people of Rabbi Nachman, to his Chassidim, that your Rebbe is such a Chacham, Ad Shalahamlet Zalavas HaPasuk, I could say the Pasuk on him, Vayechkam Mikol Adam, Einay Maspik, that he is more wisdom than any other person. One time, Rav Yitzchak Isaac was one of the Chassidim of Rabbeinu, came to Rabbi Nachman with his Slavis Neirah to Rabbi Nachman, and he wanted to tell him this crazy Torah that was revealed to him in a dream. And Rabbeinu hinted to him that he should not say in front of him this Torah. But because he had such fire in his heart about this Torah, he didn't pay attention to Rabbi Nachman's hint that he shouldn't say it. And he told him the Torah. And after he told him this Torah that he saw in the dream, right after, he fell to weakness. And after a few days, he died. And the Anash say about this, that this was a pagam in the Bechina of Moira Halacha B'fnei Rabbi, of saying Halacha in front of your teacher, Shechayev Alev Misa, that you're Chayev Misa. So yeah, he didn't do it correctly, but it's a pretty intense story. Rabbeinu one time said to Rab Nosson, your father-in-law is a tzaddik, but his chesron is that he's chaylik on the Chassidim. Nu alzeh yikabel oid halka. I guess on this he'll get one more whip, isn't it? Halka is like a whip, a schmitzmer. I guess he'll get a little bit more punishment because of that he was chaylik on the Chassidim. Rav Nosson's father-in-law was a very big tzaddik. I think it's Rav David Tzvi, who was a huge tzaddik, but he was chaylik on the way of the Chassidim. Omar, Ratzitzi Shaha'inyan Shali Yispashet Belibois Anoshim Ki Yehude Lito. Said, I want my inyanim to also go into the Litvisher hearts. Litvisher hearts. He also wants his inyanim to be by Litvish people. And it's today, a lot of people who are Litvish come over to Breslov, and Rabbeinu's words are being fulfilled. It's known from Rabbeinu, it's Mekubal, from Rebbe Nachman, that at the time that he revealed to Reb Nosson and Reb Naftali the Megillas Sarim, which is this sefer with all the different secrets of Mashiach and different things like that we don't have it anymore, that Rebbe Nachman composed, or we do have something, I'm not exactly sure, but it's all written in like this crazy code or something, that he said to them, he warned them that they should never be mefarsim the Megillas Sarim. And only one person in the door is supposed to know from this. And Rav Nosson did not reveal it to any person in his life, because Rav Naftali was still alive, right? So they both knew about it, so nobody else needed to know about it. Rav Naftali was alive still when Rav Nosson died. So Rav Naftali was now holding the secret, and then Rav Naftali passed it on to Rav Aaron of Lipovetsker, who was a very holy Yid. He was born from the bracha of Rebbe Nachman, and this guy Rav Aaron passed it on to Rav Avin Bar Nachman, of Shulchin. Before the death of Rav Avin Bar Nachman, when he was very sick, the woman whose name was Cyril, who was the daughter of Rav Aaron, came into him. She said that he should try to pass over the Megillas Sarim. Ki kach mekubal mirabenu, that somebody needs to know about it. Ulam Rabbi Avram hoya oz kfar choylim oy liibed kfar es koyach hadibor. And we don't know, he was too weak to pass it over, and we don't know if he passed it over and to who he passed it over. So the chain ended by him, basically. But I think there is something out there still about it. Now let's learn about Rav Aaron, who was the Rav of Breslov, who we mentioned before. It was the Rav of the city of Breslov when Rebbe Nachman moved there. He was Miskarev to Rabbeinu, actually before Rebbe Nachman moved there, when Rabbeinu lived in Medvedevka. He was first Mekarev to the tzaddik Rav Aaron of Titayev Zal, who was the son of Rav Hirsch, the son of the Baal Shem Tov. And he would come to the city of Medvedevka to visit his rich aunt, I think. Uncle or aunt, whatever. Aunt, that she lived there. And she liked him a lot, and she gave him money, and I don't know, whatever. And she also was she also supported Rebbe Nachman. One time, Rebbe Nachman sent a shliach to this rich aunt lady to tell her that when Rav Aaron comes to visit her, she should send Rav Aaron to him. And Rav Aaron came to his aunt's house in the middle of the winter. And when he came to the house, she said to him, "Go to Rebbe Nachman." And Rav Aaron said, "I don't know, whatever. I'll wait a little bit and go." And it's going back and forth. And while they were arguing, a different shiach came from Rebbe Nachman, and it said that Rabbi Aaron should come now. Now he had no choice. Uba. And he came, and because it was so cold, when he came to Rabbeinu, he was rubbing his hands together to warm himself up, right? Because he didn't even have time to warm himself up in the house of his aunt. And Rabbeinu saw this, and he said, "Ani acham escha, I will make you warm." And from then on in, he became the scarf to Rabbeinu. To Rabbi Yitzchak, who was the son-in-law of the Maggid, not sure which Maggid it was, but someone, He had hadras panim ufleges ad moed. His face was very shining and holy and all these things. Upam kishinasa harav hatzadik mi barditcha b'derech. And when the one time the barditcha was going on the way, and he came across this guy Rav Yitzchak. The barditcha was very wondrous. He was blown away by his surasi, by the way he looked, until he asked him, which tzaddik do you go to and who are you close to? And when he said that I'm close to Rabbeinu, the barditcha was mishtoivim, he was quiet. And he said, I'm going on the way, so wherever there was a little good to get, Rebbe Nachman already grabbed it. Rebbe Nachman grabs everyone. That's what the barditcha was saying. One time, Rebbe Naftali said, I'm very scared to think about a machshava, a thought that's not proper. Because when I go to Rabbeinu, then Rabbeinu is going to say to me, Naftali, what did you think about? Because he knows what everybody's thoughts. And Rabbi Yisrael Torvitzer, who grew up in the house of, when he grew up in the house of Rabbi Naftali, he said he used to say this in his name. Rabbi Simcha, who was the father of Rabbi Nachman, was 10 years old at the time that the Baal Shem Tov died. And Adol, the daughter of the Baal Shem Tov, chose him to be the chassan for her daughter Fega, who was Rabbi Nachman's mother. Rabbi Nachman ben Simcha ben Fega. Machmas Ma'aloisav Hagdol Machman Shoy Benoish Rabbi Nachman Hordenker. That was because he was the son of Rabbi Nachman Hordenker, who was the Talmud Muvak of the Baal Shem Tov. And one time, when he was a youth, when he was a kid, younger than 10, obviously, the Baal Shem Tov one time said about him that he was a cute little kid. He was a Yeled Nechman. So all these things made Adol choose Fega to be, his wife, and that's how it all happened. One time, Rabbeinu said to the Chassidim, middle of the video, see. Put it on the bed. Sorry, guys. One time, Rabbeinu said to the Anash, why do you guys need to be misyagea, to work so hard, to make your lives hard? Nothing is going to last. It says, at least, Kidish lo yishar mekem klum, that nothing is going to last of you. What does this mean? Let's see what he says over here. Mutav, it said it's better if you guys work a little bit, work less, and at least a little bit of you will be left over. Koimer, the more that you run after the oilam hazeh, that your days just get shorter and you lose everything out. Then that try to do less in the Indian of oilam hazeh, then you'll have more time to do other things. At least something will be left over you. At least you'll have some sort of yishuv adas. Don't be a work addict. I think something like that. How much did we do today already? Let me see the time on this so far. We'll do like 2 more minutes here. At the time that Marnat became close to Rebbe Nachman sent him to Reb Aaron Harab of Breslov to go see how my Arla Shuli is doing. My Arla is doing. How's he doing today? And when Rav Nosson came in to Rav Aaron, the Rav of Breslov, he met him. He saw him sitting there in Devekis with his eyes closed and crying. And he didn't say anything. And when he went back to Rabbeinu, and Rabbeinu asked him about him, Rav Nosson said, I met him that he was already crying. And what are you doing? And Rabbeinu said, Himlatzalav Rabbeinu es hanemar b'yom kippurim b'shchach kohen gadol. Rabbeinu said these words about him. Ki yoshev b'seisro l'chalis p'nei melech mare kohen. Hainu, when the Kohen Gadol, when he would go inside to do his avodah in the vilifnai vilifnim b'yom ha'miyucha b'shana on Yom Kippur in the Kodesh Kodashim. He said, and this is the same face that Rav Aaron of Breslov was having then. That's the same face that the Kohen Gadol does on the holy day. I think it was very holy. One time, an old person came into Rebbe Nachman and he said to him, I had a bracha from your great-grandfather, the Baal Shem Tov, that I'm going to be able to see Mashiach. And now I'm ready, he's an old person, and I'm going to die, and I didn't get to see Mashiach. And Rabbeinu smiled a bit, and he gave him, and he calmed him down a little bit, and he was nicham oto. Pam Kishibikir Rav Tzadik Rav Hershel Me'Oshropol, who was the Batchan of the Tzadik Rav Baruch. He was like this guy who made jokes and stuff for Rav Baruch to cheer him up. And this guy, Rav Hershel Oshropol, visited Rebbe Nachman. Rebbe Nachman commanded his Hasidim to not laugh when he makes jokes. And when they sat down with the Hasidim, he started making jokes, and the Hasidim did not laugh. And when Rabbeinu saw this, he smiled a bit and he was mispious him. So these are all different inyanim that are like, very wild, interesting inyanim that Rabbeinu used to do. We don't know why, but there was definitely things over here. There's last two stories over here. I already told these stories. Let's do this story. Okay, last two. One time, Rav Baruch HaMezbush said to Rav Hershel and Me'Oshropol, the comedian guy, not a comedian, he's also Beit Tzaddik, but the guy who made jokes, whatever. I said this in the last video. He said in a different video I made about Rav Hershel of Oshropol, he actually said to him that you could be saved from a certain malach that's very bad, the malach Chabala, with your jokes. This one I didn't say. And Rav Hershel said to him, what if they give me over to a malach cherish, to a deaf malach? And Rav Baruch said, then you're going to lose out. Then you're going to have an issue. In Oshraha, which was the city of the Marsha, I told this story in a different video. The non-Jews there did a lot of bad things to the Jews there. They were always bothering them and doing different things. That even when the Jews needed to bury someone in the cemetery, and the way to the cemetery would pass by this church of the people there, they would go and they would play. And whenever the Jews passed by with a levaya, they would go outside and they would throw stones on them and hit them, and also that they would play this loud music, and it was very bad. I guess on the big organ there or whatever. Until this happened many times that they even had to leave the mace there in Bizayin Gadol, like on the floor. They would just run away because they were scared of the rocks. And before the Patir of the Marsha, he commanded a few strong people that when they carry him through this place, this was the only way to the cemetery, they should put on his mita, on the thing that they're carrying him, on where they're going to carry his body, they're going to put his work, the Sefer Marsha, on Shas, put it on his body, and leave me there, whatever. And when they came and they passed by the church, and the goyim started throwing rocks and started chasing them, especially now that they knew that they were carrying the marsha, right? These guys stood and they didn't run away, and the marsha woke up from being dead. He sat up and he started turning the pages in his book. And the non-Jews from the Rav Pachad, because when they saw this, they all ran into their makom of Tumah, which was the church, and the marshal was kept on turning the pages. Lat, the whole church started sinking into the ground, and it was a big nace, and the goyim there made a fence around it, and they called this place the makom where the church was, and now it wasn't there anymore because of the story, and the goyim were not allowed to go there anymore. And after that, there was no problem, and they were able to bury the Jews. So the Marsha was doing big avodas there too. And that is the video for today.